Welcome to Run With It, BC's only running, fitness, and health show. On this episode, we have race coverage of the first half marathon organized by the Pacific Road Runners. And we have an interview with Christy Gill, Executive Director from Variety. And we were in conversation with Kim Vopni, who just recently launched her new book called Prepare to Push. And we have a contest coming up later in the show for your chance to win 2 free Sun Run entries in this year's Sun Run. And we have a Train Like a Pro segment and Doctor's Corner. But first, let's go to some race highlights from the first half marathon. Check this out. Tell us about the first half.
Absolutely, it's the 27th year we've put the race on, and we are a club-supported run. There's only about 70 members that put on the entire race, which is fantastic, with the help of a lot of local volunteers, which is really appreciated. We raise a lot of money for Variety. It's one of our main charity causes, with another 50,000 this year.
Wow.
So it's fantastic, and that brings us over to 700,000 in total for Variety, which is we're really, really happy with.
How many participants are here today?
There's around 2,000. I'm just waiting for the final count on the start line, but the rain may have kept one or two at bay, but we expect around 2,000.
Well, despite the rain, it seems like so much energy and lots and lots of runners out there. And this run or event attracts all levels of abilities.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of the fantastic things we really love about this, and the support we get from the community, the running community. We've got the Olympic hopefuls at the front of the race, and we've got the 3-hour warriors at the back, and everybody's going to have an equally hard day depending on what they're trying to achieve.
Yes, and also this is a good prep run for the marathon.
Absolutely. The race was designed as such to help for the build-up for the BMO. The reason it's called the first half was there was meant to be a second half, but the amount of work put into this one, we said we're not doing a second half. But yeah, absolutely, it's a great build-up for the Vancouver and Boston and many of the other spring marathons. Absolutely.
That's awesome. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Christy, welcome to Run With It.
Thank you.
What is your role with Variety?
I was recently brought on as the Executive Director for Variety, the Children's Charity for all of BC. I get to work with this amazing staff here and with the Board of Directors to help raise funds for children with special needs all throughout BC. My role specifically is working with the board to execute their strategic directions. We do all sorts of events. We do the telethon, obviously, and I get to go out and see some of the kids and see how our help has really improved their lives.
And that's a rewarding, and you're having, it's a lot of exciting times coming up because you're going to be celebrating the 50th anniversary.
Yes,
Tell us about
we're
that.
celebrating the 50th anniversary for the whole year. So we have all sorts of parties. Obviously the telethon was an amazing success and we're very happy. And the 50th anniversary, we're very excited. We have all sorts of other events and celebrations we're going to be doing throughout the year, sharing a lot of our success stories on our social media as well as through our newsletters. So yeah, lots of events.
What are your plans for the 50th anniversary? It's so exciting.
Well, we're so excited at 1047. So obviously the telethon, amazing. We're so looking forward to that 50th anniversary. So many exciting old supporters coming back and new supporters and new corporations and entertainers. Very excited for that. Plus throughout the rest of the year we have celebrations, new events coming that we'll be announcing soon in the fall, which will be very exciting. Plus all our other supporter events throughout the year. We're excited to celebrate with them as well. Our social media will be sharing some special stories about our kids and what we've done over the past 50 years. And I believe there's a blog right now happening, counting down the 50 days up to telethon, and sharing stories and blog posts about our past support.
Awesome.
Yeah, very exciting.
Thank you, Christy.
Thank you. Nice meeting you.
You too.
Thanks for having me.
With me in the studio, I'm happy to have back on the show Kim Vopni. She is known as a fitness doula. She helps women prepare for and recover from pregnancy and birth so they can return to the activities they love with strength and confidence. She focuses on the pelvic floor and abs as they are two parts of the body that face the biggest changes in pregnancy and birth that can leave the postpartum body in a compromised state. She's here today to give us some tips on pelvic health and running, but also to talk about our new book, Prepare to Push. Welcome back, Kim.
Thank you.
So
Happy to
happy.
be back.
Congratulations on
Thank you.
Prepare to Push. And was there an epiphany moment or inspired you to write this book?
I don't know if it was an epiphany, but growing up, I always had a fear of childbirth because my mom had episiotomies, she had a tummy she always hated, she had back pain, she had surgery in her 50s because her bladder was leaking. So my experience growing up as a child was that pregnancy and birth ruin your body, and it wasn't for me. So when I got older and I got married and I decided I did want to have children, it was really important to me to create a different story than what my mom had. So I began researching and looking into what I might be able to do so that I did have a different outcome. And I learned about a pelvic floor product. It's a biofeedback device that I used, and it definitely helped me have a great birth, prevented tearing. I was able to run and jump without leaking like some women do. But what I found was that none of my friends had heard about any of what I had done. And really it was a conversation that was sort of taboo or wasn't really out there. And I decided that I wanted to play a role in educating women and getting the information out to more people. Originally, I created some workshops called Prepare to Push, so I was working with clients one-on-one. But in order to reach more people, I really wanted to have a book. So I've had sales in Australia and Japan, so really anybody can get that information regardless of where they live.
And that's how it led into writing this book.
Absolutely, yep.
And you are a pioneer in the field, right? And yeah,
Sure.
I mean, you're lifting the stigma of
Trying
that.
to, yeah,
Yes.
yeah, absolutely.
And what's the feedback been like on your book, Prepare to Push?
Well, so far, I mean, it's great to have people write to me after saying, I'm so glad I found your book. I'd never heard of this information before, and it really helped me prepare. And that's ultimately what I wrote it for, was so women feel empowered, they feel educated and informed so they can make choices that are right for them and for their birth and for their body, but also so they know what to do from a recovery perspective. So it's not just about the preparation and the prevention, but it's about knowing what to do if you want to go back to running or if you want to go back to boot camps or CrossFit or whatever it is that you like to do in your life. You need to know how to recover properly from childbirth and pregnancy of itself, because there are a lot of influences that happen on the body.
Mm-hmm. What's your favorite chapter in the book, or is there a favorite chapter?
Probably there's a chapter called Healing the New Mama Body, which is sort of what I was just talking about, where it's trying to give women the understanding that pregnancy and birth, like a marathon, are something you need to recover from. So if I was going to run a marathon, I would prepare, I would have a plan in place, I would graduate my training so that I was ready on the big day. I would taper it off just before. I would have a recovery plan in place. And birth is a very physical event that we can equate to running or marathon training or climbing mountains. So the more we can prepare as specifically as possible, but also recover, then we're less likely to have the issues that a lot of women think are normal after having children, such as incontinence or prolapse or the lingering back pain or the poochy tummy that never goes away. So.
Exactly, and then some would say to you, well, too bad I didn't have this book when I, back then, like my mother, right?
Yeah, I hear that all the time.
And you are a pioneer because you're leading the way, right? And how are you getting the word out about the book?
Social media has definitely played a big role. So I got onto Facebook and Twitter. Well, Facebook I've been on for a while, but Twitter I got onto probably about 6 years ago. And not really understanding why I was really there. I kept thinking, what am I going to say? Who's listening? But what I was able to do was search for other people that when maybe were talking about pelvic health and pelvic floor in childbirth. And all of a sudden my community grew, and we actually, there's a hashtag called Pelvic Mafia. So people like me who are talking about this kind of stuff in a social platform, we use that hashtag a lot because people can then go search for it and find all these other amazing practitioners and therapies and movement practices that will help them from a prevention and a restorative perspective.
And you know, so you can find the book online, you can find it like paperback as we can see here, but would there be a Prepare to Push 2?
There probably won't be a Prepare to Push 2, but I'll probably have different segments. So I do want to do a Prepare to Push workout version. So in the book I do cover exercise, but it's very specific to the core and it's very specific to preparing for birth and recovering. But women also want to know how they can incorporate that into a workout. So if they are using weights to do strength training, or if they are doing some cardiovascular activities, how can they take those principles and apply it to that? So there will be some, and probably, I haven't decided if it'll be a book or video, but definitely video for sure in the workout format. So women know how they can take that and move differently or move better for their birth and recovery.
Yes. And for more information, where can they go?
The preparetopush.com is definitely the place that will take you. It has the book, it has the workshops, it has the consultations, the videos, and also just as a quick, there's a little section on the front flap there of the book, freebirthtips.com, so they can go and anybody can log on and find those. There's 10 key tips on preparing for birth.
That's great, Kim.
Yeah.
Well said. But also, you are a fitness doula. What is a fitness doula again?
It's honestly a term that I just came up with.
Awesome.
So what I did was I was a personal trainer. I was working in pre-postnatal fitness because the doulas were becoming very popular. Probably about 6 or 7 years ago again, and not a lot of people knew about them. But what a doula does is they are the technical term is, well, the official term is woman slave, but it's meant to be a support aspect for the woman, for the birthing woman. So what I did was I took doula training and took the support aspect of what a doula does and applied fitness principles to it to make my work make sense, I guess is what I did. So I was out for a run one day and that term just popped into my mind and I've used it. I'm sure I'm not the only one who's technically doing the work that I do. I know I'm not the only one, but fitness doula is just a term that I came up with and I ran with it.
Yes, well said. I love it. And
thank you.
Thank you, Kim, for coming on the show. I'd like you to come back again.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
When it comes to recovery nutrition, keep the 3 R's in mind: refuel, repair, and rehydrate. A nutrient-rich beverage, such as chocolate milk, contains carbohydrate to help replenish glycogen stores, protein to rebuild and repair tired muscles, and fluid and electrolytes, such as sodium and potassium, to rehydrate.
And now it's time for our contest. The question is, who was the first male and female of the very first sun run? To enter, simply go to our website on the screen. And good luck. I'm very excited to have with me Canadian former Olympian Lynn Kanuka. Lynn won a bronze medal in the 3,000 meters at the 1984 LA Olympics. She is a record holder, she's run the Sun Run, and she's it for running.
When we talk about running technique, there's a couple of things I see out there. One is too much torso rotation. Okay, that means your arms are everything, but what I see are the arms coming across the midline, just like this, so that the body's rotating from side to side. The other thing I see are overstriding, too much overstriding. So the thing to think about is, yes, arms set the pace, okay? Nice and tight at your sides, arms bent at about 90 degrees at the elbow. Your fingertips are nice and relaxed. The swing needs to come from the shoulder, forward and back, forward and back. Okay, so that's arms. Now, legs, all right. People wanting to do too much, too fast, too soon. So they're using those arms, creating a nice range of motion, but then just reaching too far forward with the knees, trying to create a big stride that results in literally landing too far forward of the hip. So you land a little too far forward in this position, almost back, and now tapping into hip flexors and struggling. you know, so when you got this going on, it's not going to add up to a good thing. I'm exaggerating, of course. So if we dial it back just a little, make sure your hips, especially when you're learning, your foot lands actually under your hip in the perfect kind of technique. Think about quick rotation in the legs, okay? So choo-choo train, nice little, you're lifting up and over a small barrel. So if I demo just a little bit, arms tight at the side, okay? In learning, you're doing, I've called it the cha-cha, but be careful because we don't want to dance too much. We want to move forward and back. Your foot lands under your hip, mid-foot, not on your toes, not on your heels, because that means you're going to be reaching too far forward. So, arms tight, nice little swing, a lift in the knees, but landing soft, okay? Work on turnover, developing a nice rhythm like this before you increase your stride length. Otherwise, you're going to be overstriding, and that's not going to be healthy.
With me in the studio are two special guests. Dr. Doug and Diane Clement are international celebrities at multiple levels. Both are former Olympians and co-founders of the Vancouver Sun Run. They are ambassadors for the sport of track and field and have received numerous awards for their passionate contributions to healthy living and running in Canada. Dr. Doug and Chef Diane still practice what they preach when it comes to healthy living. Each year, they participate in the Sun Run and other local events. Both are respected authors, having written numerous fitness and health books, cookbooks. They are here today to talk about healthy living tips. Welcome to Doctor's Corner.
Thank you.
So congratulations in being inducted into this BC Sports Hall of Fame.
Well, thank you.
In the Builders category, right?
The Builder Coach category, which is an amazing honor. And of course, Doug was inducted several years ago in the hall. So
2000, right?
Yes, that's right.
And they said they thought that he was very lonely and it was time that I joined.
So how does it feel to be in together? I mean, this is awesome.
Yes, there's probably maybe 3 other couples that are actually, have been in sports.
Yeah, it's not too often that a husband and wife are following the same pathway, in sport. But I mean, it started, we both met during the Olympic Games in 1956, and so it's been a natural part of our life, since that point, that we have been deeply involved in the sport.
Mm-hmm. When it comes to healthy living, you're both. But also people are living longer. But it's important to live healthy and to eat the proper foods and to exercise, right?
Absolutely, yeah. I think lifestyle plays a much bigger role than we imagine. I think when you examine the current situation of, say, childhood obesity and adult obesity, it's, grown dramatically in the last 20, 30 years. And, if you look at the delivery of fast food to Canada and to North America and other parts of the world as well, you can see that the volumes and caloric content of those foods has risen in tandem with obesity. And so I think it's, from my perspective, obviously physical activity plays a part, but it's the intake of food is our biggest problem and our declining amount of physical activity, which the computer and the digital world has created.
Yeah, so physical literacy is important as well, and we're promoting that. The Vancouver Sun Run is a huge event that attracts thousands of runners, and you participate in it every year, and you're ambassadors of the Sun Run.
Well, we started the Sun Run back in 1984, and essentially we were looking to raise money and improve the health of British Columbians by creating a road race. We only had 3,500 people that first year, but it's grown up to almost like in, I think, 2011, it was just about 60,000. And of course, the Vancouver Sun has done a tremendous job of creating an editorial sort of lifestyle. Every Monday, there's a full page of advice on nutrition and exercise and its impact on our health. And so I think the newspaper has done an amazing amount of work to change the lifestyle of British Columbians. And I think with Richmond, as an example, being the healthiest and longest living place in Canada, I think it's working.
It's awesome. And you know, it's more than just putting one foot in front of the other. It's like talking about nutrition, and right? And then some people may think, well, it's expensive to buy organic foods, right? But it's not really if you shop at the different places or, you know.
Yeah, I think the emphasis on gluten-free or the emphasis on organic or fat-free or whatever, all those things.
What is fat-free?
All those things
Exactly.
I think are,
It's
in
calories.
my
Comes
own
down to
mind,
calories.
not the central issue. They may play some role, obviously, for some individuals. But the most important role is the quantity of food and our lack of balanced activity. I mean, if we go back to the days of our grandparents as an example, in the days of the Industrial Revolution, people had jobs where they worked physically and they were burning off calories. When they were doing those types of things, it was really demanding. They had to have food.
And then Sunday was treat day. That was a day when they saved the roast or saved the chicken, did the ice cream on the ice, big machine with the ice, and that was treat day. And I think what is happening now is that we're
having treats every
day and not balancing with exercises. But to go back to the Sun Run, which is also important, is that we also have 10,000 walkers.
Yes.
So we've had people come up and said, I never thought I could walk a mile, let alone walk. And it takes them, you see them when we're all finished coming over the Cambridge Street Bridge, that they said, I've set my goal, I did the walk program, and I'm eating healthier. So it's wonderful for Doug and I to see so many people involved that realize that we have to have the balance
I think one of the
exercise.
unique things is if you take somebody who traditionally hasn't had a physical activity background or they have never walked or never run, they feel pretty intimidated to think they're going to go into the Vancouver Marathon or into the Seawall race or something like that, where generally there's sort of a really competitive, serious runner type of environment. The Sun Run overcomes that by creating an open door, a sense of
social.
Yeah, everybody can do it. Everybody can get through that 10K. You can walk, you can stop, you can do whatever you need in order to complete it. And I think that's the unique component about the Sun Run, is that the average person feels comfortable and they're not going to be embarrassed. They can participate at any level and enjoy and celebrate, physical activity as being an important part of their life. I mean, as you know, there are over 50 clinics for the Sun Run around the Lower Mainland, where they meet a couple of times a week and they get information and instructions about how to start and the gradual starting of the activity. And so I think it's a good system, and it has changed the lifestyle of a lot of people, and I think in a positive way.
I think, as Doug said in our book, is that I have two doctors, my left leg and my right, which is so true. But as Doug said, to see people, some in wheelchairs, some can hardly walk. We have all shapes and sizes. We have the school-age children, and it's just like a family gathering. Just the whole kilometers of the race or run, I should say, and it's just a happening, and in the most beautiful city in the world.
It is.
The course is just amazing.
I mean, live in Vancouver, outdoorsy city, and just a couple of healthy living tips you would like to share to our viewers.
Well, I think if you summarize it, move more and eat less.
Okay.
I think if you summarize just that simple statement, that captures a great deal of it. I think it's a little more complicated, however, when you start to imagine the impact that the digital world has had on us. I mean, many people have grown up now into their 30s and had the internet available all that period of time. And so we're, for us now in our mid-80s, It's we've seen it all.
I'm a little behind, not quite there yet.
But it's we have seen it when it was not here, and now when you see the digital world here, it's having a massive impact. And you can go into any place, and you go to a restaurant even, and there's a table of 7 or 8 people, and they all have their phones out, and they're not talking to one another. They're communicating to the world, and I'm not sure we're going to change that. But what that does is often reduces the ability for us to actually move and walk. I think one of the nice parts of the modern world, is wearable technology that allows us to interact. I mean, in my case, I'm using a Fitbit Challenge HR, which is recording my heart rate. It will talk to my cell phone and to my computer, and every day I'll have a record of the actual number of steps, the number of meters I've done, what my heart rate is at that time, how many hours I'm sleeping. And this type of technology, I think, attracts younger people because they're addicted, if you will, to their interconnectivity with their phones. And so I think wearable technology has a huge potential to alter our lifestyle.
Yes. Well, I want to thank you both very much for coming on the show, and I'd like to have you come back.
For sure, and the third Sunday in April.
April 17th.
Yes.
17th.
Yeah.
We'd like to see you
Vancouver
all
South.
out there, every one of them, every one of you.
Thank you.
Thank
Great.
you.
Thanks for watching. If you have a question or comment on today's show, go to our website on the screen. Until next time, run with it. Run With It is sponsored by Be Well TV, Fortius Sports and Health, Hype Hair, Mallory's Fashion Network, Nike Canada, Pellavine Wellness, powered by Chocolate Milk, and Vancouver Sunrun, presented by Blue Shore Financial.